we start, this video is a two-parter and builds off from the Season of Ice video we did on SickGirl's channel, so please check that video out before watching this one.
There are times when legendary heroes fuck up. Big time. Shitty games inevitably happen. But what if a successor is created? Can it fix the mistakes of the past? Is it possible for a game to outshine its derpy sibling?
I don't see why not. Wait. What the fuck are you doing in my room? Better question yet, how are you making all those random edits? You're just sitting in a corner.
All I'm doing is trying to assist you. Give your video some cinematic flair. You're asking me to fuck off? I think not.
What, so breaking into other people's houses and just, filming them at random is something that you do commonly, and everyone's fine with that? Is that seriously what you're trying to say?
Maybe. Never mind. Look, you want to make a Spyro video to celebrate the release of a certain game, right?
Well, yes, but...
Good.
Surely there are better games to review than just this.
And you might want to get some help with that.
Well, some help with this game would be appreciated. So, Spyro the Dragon. It's been a while since I've probably talked about the game franchise on this channel, hasn't it? And along with the release of the Spyro Reignited trilogy earlier this month, what better time to talk about it? Now, maybe you might not know this, but the game was a big success, probably due to the fact that Spyro's not being forced into the hell that is this series. Yeah, that was a pretty shit joke, wasn't it? Anyway, let's talk about something that's better than those games. How about a platformer that actually lets you give full control, open world-esque gameplay? Yeah, it's Season of Flame. Can't hide it. Season of Flame. You clicked on the video title, you know what this game was going to be, you know what the game was going to be reviewed was. So, yeah. And today we've got SickGirl helping us.
Oh, hi. We were doing this today. Hey guys, remember me from those times we had? Remember when that midget kicked you in the balls?
So yeah. Released in 2002 as a GBA exclusive, just under a year after Season of Ice, Flame was developed by Digital Eclipse, as well as Blackbone Entertainment, and published by Universal Interactive, Konami, and Vivendi Games. The game had received mixed to positive reception upon release, but does it hold up?
Well, it took me a while to recover after Season of Ice. I honestly didn't know how I would handle Season of Flame. Can a woman handle that much cringe within the span of 3 months? Or, whenever the fuck that last video came out? But no. I stood up and said, enough is enough. God damn it, Spyro. Won't let you own me. You purple pimp. Fuck. Anyway. After the terminal shithole that was Season of Ice, they had a lot of making up to do. For me, anyway. You may be fine if you get kicked out of torture.
The game takes place directly after Spyro Season of Ice. Spyro, Sparks, Hunter, and Bianca return from the Fairy Realm after saving it from the abomination of the 6th dimension. Not only is the Dragon Realm barren with the exception of just a single Elder Dragon, but it's also much colder, as fireflies have been stolen by the Rhinox, causing the Dragon's fire breath to become ice breath. Oh, that's a terrible sign of things to come. Spyro goes to find the culprit, as well as recover the fireflies. This sounds like the work of the sorcerer Ripto. It's Ripto again. You got burned alive in molten lava in Spyro 2 on the PS1, so why are you here? Some characters don't feel as important as they did in the PS1 games as well. For example, Hunter and Bianca are back to being hint givers, Sparks has a few lines but is generally your health bar again, the Elder Dragon just gives you exposition, and Spyro is just Spyro.
A story almost similar to Season of Ice in terms of the objective to save the world. Except it had this silly cockhead in it. So, remind me how that is supposed to strike fear into me as a badass boss. I'm sorry, can you imagine getting to the end of Resident Evil Outbreak, expecting a fucking battle for the ages, and seeing this ass goblin flying at you through the window? A little unfair of me, considering that Resident Evil and Spyro are completely fucking different. All I could have asked of the Reignited trilogy is to make Ripto not look like a total dickhead. Impossible, you say? Well, yeah, he is a stubby little fuck, isn't he?
During the intro, We also get to look into the character sprites, which are kind of the same as the last game and are fairly good for GBA standards, if a little bit derpy at times. Environments don't look as much of an eyesore as last time, especially Hummingbird Fort from Ice, because that level looked like absolute shit. After the intro, we're able to explore the first hub world, Sunny Plains. Hub worlds still have portals that lead to other levels, with most requiring a specific number of fireflies to open, much like the previous games, but more on them later. Some levels can be entered and completed in one run, just like the PS1 game. Well, the first one anyway. But a fair few will have you coming back as soon as you have a certain power. That is, if you want to 100% complete the game, at least for the extra bonus, if it's that important to you anyway. Much like its predecessor, Season of Ice Flame... God damn it, I'm terrible at this. Season of Flame is an isometric game, and while the game is nowhere near as disorienting as Ice, you could still misjudge a jump due to the level design, you know, isometric games and all that, but only on rare occasions this time, and the level aesthetics can be quite good. While there are many good looking levels in this game, for example, Dreamy Castle, Sunny Plains, Candy Lane, the mildly off looking level here is Moon Fondue. I love the colour green as much as the next guy, but wow, this level is ugly to me, and surprisingly, not many levels are like that.
I have to say they did not improve the isometric dilemma that they had in Ice. Well, punch me in the face and call me Sally. Yeah, this game's really got me pumped already. Woo!
While I haven't played Season of Ice yet, I'm sure Spyro also controls the same as he did last time as well, with all his moves intact, but a little bit tighter. To me he looks a lot floatier in Ice, from what I've seen anyway, including jumping, gliding, breath attacks with new elements, and charging.
Good developers, you get a cookie.
One thing the game doesn't tell you, however, is that you can bring up a map screen by holding L then pressing select. And concerning how confusing the game might get at times, it would have been helpful to know this better yet. Or better yet, just shove the maps into the atlas, you know, because isn't that the purpose of such a book? I only found out about the map screens after finishing it 100%, which is about 100% too late. Moving is exactly what you'd expect for an isometric GBA title, as Spyro can move in 8 directions, up, down, left, right, and diagonals between. To move diagonally, you need to press the 2 adjacent directions on the D-pad. It's best advised not to play this or any other Spyro game on the GBA for extended periods of time, because this is very painful on the thumb, or at least in my case. But if you're on an emulator, then go nuts, play to your heart's content. That goes for Fusion too, but that's for a different video and for different reasons.
As it is the better looking twin of Ice, the format of the missions are quite similar. Collect, find, activate, and conquer, with the exception of the submissions, which I found interesting and somewhat grotesque. And oh Christ, the stellar fucking personalities you meet along your quest. You have got to be shitting me. We've been reduced to knock off cereal box mascots yet again. Nevertheless, the game did serve some worthy challenges. Even if it was total silly shit like escorting Andy home because he's too shit-faced or something. So not only do we have to guide him, but we have to promise to not take advantage of him in his drunk state. Such challenges bother us. Well, even when Spyro gets drunk, he's not too shy about bad touch.
Then again, this does try to stay true to the structure of the challenges from the console games. A few of them are only done once or twice, not to mention the fact that the GBA games are very limited compared to their console counterparts. Returning from the Year of the Dragon is Ice Breath, which was only used in one level in that game, and is now your default stat breath for this one. And after completing the second level, I came across Bianca. Bianca will give you Spyro's ability to breathe fire again. 2 levels in. What was the point in removing fire breath from Spyro if he's only going to get it back for the next level? At least wait until the second hub world, for fuck's sake. The final breath type is electric, and will kill anything it comes across, really. Just like Flame, but electric. But it's only used in the third hub world for 30 seconds at a time, like the upgrade for the breath elements. Each breath type performs slightly differently, but it would have been nice to use electric breath a little longer to at least maybe activate platforms. Like, you know, Enter the Dragonfly got something right, and that was a year later, but still. Holy shit. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Enter the Dragonfly actually did something right for a change. Sparks, as said before, also reprises his role as Spyro's health bar, and can be upgraded to give you an extra hit point, about 2/3 of the way into the game. Other than the extra chance, he functions the same as before. The total number of fireflies required is usually close to what you already have, and can surpass the total very easily if you're that much of a completionist. And you can find out which ones you can get by looking at the atlas. There are 6 or 7 fireflies in each level, with 100 altogether, and maybe 5 if the level is that short. And they're collected through similar means, whether it's using specific breath types on a certain number of objects scattered throughout the level, time trial courses, or simply reaching the end. Near the end of the game, you're only doing these same missions recycled a few more times with minor changes. Challenges have varying difficulty to try and keep up with things from getting stale, but make me want to snap my DS in half. For example, the time trial courses aren't that bad, but some enemies can easily push you to death by a knockback, and the second one is so infuriating that I didn't mind cheesing the level out by reaching the end, which is right next to the start. Credit to Omnism. The Fire Pixie tag, you need to do this once, and then again with another one of the bastards. These fuckers are infuriating, not only because they can be hard to catch due to their speed, but as soon as you freeze one, they will try to get closer to their captured cohort. If they touch them, they are free to move again, and will spread out, so you have little time to react before they do so, meaning you have to resort to guarding, and even then, you need to wait for them to get close to Spyro, only for them to run away again.
The side missions led by Sheila, Cliché, and Agent 69 or whatever the fuck his name is, were just dazzling. Monkey Balls over there was actually pretty fun, what with the side-scrolling adventure thing going on. Now Sheila, on the other hand, can get killed on the roads of Australia every day because this shit was a fucking mess. You play a Qbit-like setup while trying to stop enemies who have the upper hand on you because of their arsenal that knows no bounds on timing and hitboxes. I'm sure you can predict how I feel about this already. And much like the creepy and awkward loading screen that we got from Spyro and Ice, we are now treated with seeing Sheila fly in shit jewels all over the night sky. I hope the kids weren't expecting Santa gifts to come down their chimney. Surprise! Compared to the rest of the game, this part held it back a little with the improvement of slicker controls. In all honesty, I don't think they could have given a shit at this point. It's such a small portion of the game. Agent Monkey Balls knew what was up though. And for once, I was impressed. Quick, take a photo, this might not happen again. As a lover of the 90s gaming scene, this format got me all excited and shit. And as a side mission, it worked well. You are rewarded with different and interesting gameplay, not bullshit that you dread to get involved with.
There was also one set of challenges which were challenging, but I played them and they're not that bad in hindsight. Being the defense challenges, a character will work on something in the centre of the map, and Spyro needs to defend said work from the Rhinox. They're much easier when the enemies don't come from the top of the map, so your focus doesn't have to be shifted in all directions. Of challenges, they're alright, some stand out more than others, occasionally for the wrong reasons. They're okay. Not bad, but they're also not the best, just okay. The other collectibles are the returning gems, once again scattered everywhere. Seriously, are these dragons that crap at keeping their bank in order? And they're only here to serve currency to buy access to levels from moneybags, who doesn't sound anywhere near as unlikable without his stuck-up British accent. But, again, handheld limitations. You can also find a key in some levels that unlock a chest that can't be damaged. Unlocking it is simple as just walking up to it with a key, but if you play the level, collect the key, and not open the chest, then you fucked up, because you need to backtrack to where the key was, since it doesn't stay with you. Collect it again, which is pretty annoying to me if I'm being honest. I mean, you know where it is as soon as you finish the level, but is it really worth the hassle just to get the key again? If you're missing gems in any of these handheld Spyro games, however, I feel terribly sorry for you. Seeing as we're on the GBA, you can only see a small portion of the screen, and I don't think the map tells you where the keys are, as far as I'm aware, neither the gems, so good luck with that. Collecting enough gems or fireflies will allow access to levels where you can play as one of 2 reappearing characters, Sheila the Kangaroo and Agent 9. Best way to describe Sheila's gameplay is a bit like Spyro, but twice as slow. Qbit with a kangaroo, if you will. To me, she's my least favourite to control, but she isn't terrible, far from it actually. Unlike Spyro, she can only move diagonally, so pressing 2 buttons on the D-pad is required at all times. She has all of her abilities from Year of Dragon, including kicking, stomping and double jumping, and her levels suffer from Jack 2 syndrome. where none of them have checkpoints, and the game sends you to the start of the level if you fail. Agent 9 is a completely different style of gameplay entirely, taking the game from an isometric perspective to a 2D side-scroller. On top of double jumping, he also has a blaster that shoots standard ammo and can be upgraded into the minigun, which doesn't increase the strength of the bullets but increases your fire rate instead, by holding the button you use to shoot. He's also a little slower than Sheila, but makes up for it by having some really good platforming segments between the running and gunning. I can only assume the extra levels were a replacement for the speedways, but as I haven't played Ice yet, feel free to judge whether that's a good or bad thing for yourself.
I will admit the levels have had an improvement since the cold hell. They have a genuine Spyro look rather than a last minute whip up, especially in terms of colour. Oh my god, keep it up developers, and I may start to think that you actually care about this game.
The music in Spyro games is a bit like music in Sonic games, as they're often great even if the game is not that good. But this game's soundtrack is, again, okay. It's not bad, I just think it's mediocre with a few good tracks buried in a pile of, not that good music. Maybe they are good tracks, but the compression of the audio to fit the GBA hardware doesn't make it as good as it could be. After collecting enough fireflies, we're able to visit the second hub world, Celestial Plains, but not before facing Crush, one of Ripto's lackeys, and also making a return from the PS1. Bosses in this game are similar to their console counterparts, as they are quite challenging. More specifically, both apply to the first two, the other one being Gulp, Ripto's other goon. Beating bosses gives you an upgrade like a stronger charge and a predetermined 5th hit point. Ripto himself is probably the easiest boss out of the three, requiring a lot of back and forth to get to the breath gates. After beating him, you get the most useless power-up, or at least in my case, World Warping. I collected every little bit of treasure and every last firefly, but I'm glad that's not the final reward, and obviously some people won't collect everything on their first playthrough of a level, and I can see having the ability to quick travel at will via the Atlas a massive time saver, but maybe it would have been useful at the start of the third hub world, rather than the end of the game. After Ripto's defeat, Spyro returns to see that the Elder Dragon is about to leave, but is stopped when he sees the fireflies have been returned, to which everyone starts celebrating, with Sparks trying to get away from a firefly who's fallen in love with him. I'll be honest, while it's not a well done ending by any means, it's a decent send-off of the game, just not as fleshed out as it could have been. As soon as the game is finished, you can play a minigame called Sparks Panic, which is reminiscent of the Sparks levels in Year of the Dragon, but limited to just a single arena. And it's, again, you shouldn't be surprised, but it's okay. But a full level like this would have been nice to see. It's not something to get overly excited about, however. Completing the game 100% will allow you to play Dragon Drafts, which is exactly what it sounds like, and I kind of enjoyed this little extra. Though I'm pretty sure the AI will make the same move upon starting a new game, so each time he makes a move, it's going to be nearly the same, depending on what piece you move.
Flame needed to be created as the superior of Ice, version 2.0. Impressive considering that not all sequels can be considered the better of the two, or it can't fill the shoes of the first one. That being said, the shoes were made of shit, so it didn't take too much to outshine Ice. So check out Flame if you haven't. You don't really have to play Ice to get the plot of Flame, which was just basic courtesy. Thank the precursors. Thanks to you, JP, for having me back on your channel. As always, it's been an honour to share the insanity.
Spyro 2 Season of Flame is flawed. Very flawed. But it does have quite a lot of good to be found in it. While there may be some frustrating or confusing moments at times, there is quite a lot of fun to be had with this game. Graphics are nice, Spyro's controls feel like the PlayStation 1 games more, and the extra characters are quite fun, but I still think that they could have added speedways and removed the knockback being that big, but it's fine. It's a perfectly good game, and it really set the path for future Spyro games to go down. That is until the handhelds kind of buggered it with this. Yeah, I don't think I'm talking about this game anytime soon.